According to their website, Chernobylite is a science fiction RPG survival open world game developed by The Farm 51 and published by All In Games. You play as a physicist who used to work in the Chernobyl power plant as he enters the mysterious and dangerous contamination zone of Chernobyl. With that being said, Chernobylite is actually a wonky Eurojank survival horror game that really grows on you. Despite its steep learning curve, especially for someone without much experience in the genre, once you accept that Chernobylite is confusing as hell, you can get down to the basics and really let the tone, atmosphere, and eeriness guide you on a journey through the destruction and forests of Chernobyl. Right off the bat, the controls were super heavy. I had to go into the menus and max the sensitivity so I didn't feel like I was moving through molasses. I also quickly found out, after I immediately died upon my first encounter with ghosts, that you cannot shoot without aiming, which, might I add, is extremely frustrating if you just want to get in a quick shot and also be able to move around quickly when you're surrounded. Silent takedowns are also nearly useless as multiple enemies are rarely far enough from each other to be unnoticed, and even if they are, the enemies are so close that they discover the body within a mere minute or so anyway. The quick controls are messy. When you select the item you want from your quick controls, nothing tells you what it is or how much it will help or heal you, and you have to go into your inventory to see what they are. But you will also not find out how much they will heal you. Along the same line as healing, I was confused about when the border went black and glowing green. You think it's radiation poisoning, but no, it's your psyche, which goes down the more people you kill. To replenish, by the way, you need to drink alcohol. The building system is intense and doesn't hold your hand, nor does any part of this game, to be honest. It doesn't let you know, for example, what is more important than other things to build. You can easily waste resources building something you really don't need yet. What I really need to touch upon is the decision-making in this game. For example, there's a scene where Olivier says, "Do you see the smoke from the Duga radar? It's your friend Mikhail." I destroyed the radar, so why is it there? Are they telling me that the game can't remember one of my first choices and accommodate them? Further, the radar is always there when you look out the window to your base. It's unnecessarily confusing. If most of your choices don't matter, then what's the point of having choices at all? I also found out, after encountering Chernobyl ghosts in the wild for the first time, that when you die, you get an opportunity to change the choices you've made by spending Chernobylite. I tried to change one decision just to see what would happen. When I got back to base, I had to redo a couple conversations through the radio, which made me think I'd have to redo the mission as well. However, I went back to my previous save and didn't make the changes, but still had to go through the two different NPC conversations on the radio. And I honestly have no idea what to make of that, and I cannot speak to how much of a difference changing decisions will make. However, the best part of this game is going out and exploring. It's fun to go out and do missions as well, but the actual scavenging and finding clues is the most fun you'll have in this game. If you like exploratory games that include finding creepy stuff, you will like Chernobylite. Frankly, the only reason I kept playing this game as long as I did was because I really enjoyed exploring, and I appreciated that you can stick around after missions and scavenge. I do like a good scavenge. The game starts off with a lightning storm in the forest where you get a magical lightning gun and a good jump scare. When I got to the entrance to the city, I was attacked by a group of lightning ghosts and had to shoot them with the magic rifle. However, I could barely turn and only managed to kill one before I promptly died, because I couldn't shoot without aiming, which I didn't find out until later, and it made me feel like I was really bad at games. Then you wake up in a completely different place, no rifle, and no idea what's going on. But what I do know is you are Professor Igor Kimenyuk, and your wife has been missing for 30 years. She disappeared right before the Chernobyl disaster. There seems to be rips in space and time. You can still hear her and sometimes see her. You're trying to find out what happened to her, and hopefully find her, by discovering clues along the way. To find these clues, you need to build a base and recruit NPCs to help you on an ever-increasing quest for supplies and people who know things. Sometimes you're asked if you want to destroy things that you know your wife hated. As I mentioned, I decided to destroy the Duga radar installation simply because she hated the project. Sometimes you go against what your ghost wife wants to keep the resources you would lose. It seems like she wants you to lose everything, to be honest. But what does it actually mean when you choose one thing over the other? I don't know. I really felt like I was dropped into a game that was already ongoing, into a story that is in the middle of being told. It's disconcerting and off-putting. I know what the objective is, but how they are presenting it to me is confusing. But apparently, Eastern European-based survival horror is actually a genre, and I just jumped into the deep end. Despite the subject matter, there are some genuinely funny parts. You meet a trade NPC called Vagabond, who says he has Trump, Putin, and Gates on speed dial. Igor says, "What about Jobs?" And Vagabond says, "Yeah, him too." He also name drops Warren Buffett at another point. Then there's a mission with a teammate to wipe out a database. You do this by finding a laptop and going to heartisalonelyhunter.ru and downloading the document called Smelly Panties of Doom. As I said, if you like scavenging and coming across creepy things, then you'll like this game. From the creepy laughing of dead children, to dolls having a tea party or gathered in front of a TV screen, to an RAD soldier crying and calling your name, only to turn around with a block of Chernobylite sticking out of his head, to Chernobylite ghosts wandering in buildings and houses. There isn't a lack of creepy, scary things out there to shock you. And they look really good too, considering what it is. Don't expect state-of-the-art graphics and everything will look just fine. And who decided dolls are creepy anyway? Don't worry, they won't attack you or anything, just like dolls in real life. I felt like I made a mistake setting the voice acting to English. I ended up changing it to Russian with English subs, then changed it back to English again because I couldn't listen to one language and read another at the same time. In English, Igor had strange voice acting and a British accent. It was immediately not the type of voice I expected from the character. He sounded too young, keeping in mind that he is probably approaching 60 or so if he was 30 around the time of the Chernobyl disaster, and his wife has been missing for 30 years, as they mentioned. Speaking of that, is it realistic that a 60-year-old man is doing what we're doing in this game? And with the smooth eyes he has for his avatar? On the other end, all the side characters have the better voice acting. Perhaps it's because they don't have as much to read. Why can't we get a great voice actor for the main character? As a person who loves their ASMR sounds, I appreciated the crunch of your boots, breathing inside the gas mask, the slugging of alcohol, the squelching of a knife stabbing your enemies. You know, all the beautiful sounds the world has to offer. There isn't much variation at all between the creepers. I only came across 2 different forms of the Chernobyl ghosts, but when I did, they sounded extra creepy. In fact, the first time I came across the bigger of the boys, the sound of them unnerved me so much that I was scared to move more than a couple feet at a time while crouched until I figured out what the sound was. It might seem like I have a lot to complain about, and I do, but perhaps these are all issues that are minor to people who are familiar with the genre. So this might actually be from the perspective of someone who isn't completely new to the genre, but is completely new to Eurojank. Take it with a grain of salt, depending on your level of experience with the genre. At the end of each mission/day, it's hard to tell how much food everyone needs. There isn't a bar or gauge to let you know. I also ran into the issue where I couldn't access my crafting tables and machines. Half the game is crafting and building your base. If you can't do that at the end of the day, when you get your supplies, what is the point? The first couple days, I didn't realize you could send each of your team members to a mission at the same time. You can send team members to Igor's missions, but instead of them finishing the missions, they will scavenge and reduce the number of enemies. So make sure you send all of them out. And there are some other minor issues depending on your tolerance for annoyance. During an early mission, I was able to walk directly to the target, and as soon as I collected the items, I was surrounded by NAR soldiers. This never happened again, so I assume it was a bug. The game also crashed on day 3, but at the beginning of the day, so that was thoughtful. There was one conversation with someone and the subtitle clearly said stupid, but the character said the R word. This game makes you feel like you're going a little crazy. I was constantly questioning my sanity and also my intelligence. Why can't I access my building table? Why am I suddenly being ambushed by 5 soldiers when there was no one around? Why can't I use my medkits right now? And finally, am I doing something wrong? And the answer to that is probably yes. But the most important part is that I tried. Despite everything, I find that I still do want to play. And that, according to my partner, is the beauty of Eurojank. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow, and we'll see you here next time on XboxEra.